Great to have all this Technic gear material just ready to work on for another Makuta mock, because this video will probably come out a little bit late, but you'll be able to see, I guess, retroactively in earlier videos kind of how this was put to use. As I'm putting in kind of the final touches of this is really satisfying to see how essentially two arms are going to go in opposite directions and then in the same direction this way by having this little counter gear here. It's really kind of a great idea. One thing I did like about the Skull Warriors, well, the Skull, I'm just gonna say the Skull Gang for now, essentially, is just the variety of builds and everything. I mean, Bionicle has become well known for this for quite some time now, but I think it's always appreciated though, just to see how they sort of have the designers push themselves in terms of the variety of what they can build. I will say again though, as a pet peeve, in terms of the pieces that they've developed, I'm always a little bit disappointed in the design of this, and that there's no sort of connection areas aside from just this one pin piece here. And here it is, the Skull Slicer. First impressions is this gear system works great. I like the idea that it can sort of have two arms in unison and then one arm go to block while also doing kind of like a underswing to try and latch onto Leiwa's mask and pull it back. Didn't expect this claw to latch on terribly well, and it works decently actually. I was quite surprised by it. I think a lot of it has to do with just the shape of the mask, so depending on how slippery the design is and everything, that'll be more of an indication of just how well it can grip. I mean, also considering the fact that these joints have very little surface area to actually clip into, it's very hard to actually even keep these in place, but something like this will usually do. And to get it back on its feet, you can see why there's little additional balance points on the feet here that sort of extend out an ankle. I would say maybe having slightly bigger feet would have helped with this, because it's very top heavy obviously for having twice the amount of limbs that most other normal villains and Toa have. I'd say aside from that though, I think the function works really well, and when you're operating it, you have your hand actually kind of stabilizing and everything here as well, so there's not really too much to critique with that. So I'd say aside from the weapons design not having too many contact points and the chest shell piece being very crazy, I think it works quite well. I think perhaps the reason for this is it's trying to sort of emulate that while the build itself physically generally is very symmetrical, the sort of one-sided extra plating for the shoulder and like the sort of one shoulder spike is a little bit unbalanced, and also by having this one sort of claw weapon as well gives it like a bit of more asymmetry and gives more of like an evil feel as opposed to this perfectly uniform character. I think there's a lot that came out of this set, and I'm generally quite happy with how it turned out. Just I think the fighting style is really great, and even though it's a little bit wobbly, it's quite easy to position anyway, and I think the general use of all the pieces is quite well done, so I'm happy with it. Anyway, so this is going to be torn apart as soon as I cut, and I'm going to be getting to a mock that'll be revealed in fairly short notice, but you'll end up seeing that sooner before this. So anyway, I just wanted to get this video out so I can have it as kind of an archive for the way it was, and for any viewers who weren't able to get their hands on this set, definitely recommend it on Bricklink if these pieces are relevant to you. It's certainly a great novelty set as well if you want a villain that certainly feels like it can take on maybe two or even more Toa at the same time, so there's kind of value in that as well. Anyway, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you next time.